Welcome back to Yoki's Kitchen. Are y'all hungry? Good, because I am. Today we are going to have a creamy oxtail Alfredo. Yes, this is not a Rasta pasta. This has nothing to do with any jerk seasoning or anything of that type. This is just strictly Alfredo, oxtails, and pasta. And it's going to be so good. So with that being said, what you are going to need is the obvious. You are going to need oxtail. Now, what you see here is about 4 pounds of oxtail. If you have the ability to choose your cuts, try to get the thicker part of the tail. Do not get the smaller joints of the tail because it's going to be impossible for you to get that meat off or even begin to cut that membrane off. So you see how big these are? You want to try to keep the top part of the tail versus the end of the tail. And they have been cleaned. They have been, a lot of the fat has been cut off, but not too much of it has been cut off because that is where the flavor is. And as you can see, the obvious, the meat is still on the bones because that is where the flavor is. And once we start cooking that, the broth from the oxtail is going to be used. I'm just going to use a little bit of that in our Alfredo sauce just to bump it up a notch. So stick with me. Now, remember, everything that I show you here is just a blueprint. If you want to choose any or add or take away anything that you see, you're more than welcome to. And I'm sure it's going to be good. But if you're not sure, you can follow the recipe and I know it's going to be really, really good. So let's run quickly for the sauce. Your sauce, you're going to need some heavy whipping cream and I'll give you the measurements when we get into that, but we are going to use some cream cheese in this one. And we are also going to have our vegetables. Now, if you look closely, these vegetables are cut very, very fine because when I cook them down, it's pretty much just going to be color. You're not going to be able to chew or any of this in that sauce. So what we have here is an onion. We have a green pepper, yellow pepper, and red pepper. Now the scallion is left whole because we're just going to throw this in to the pressure cooker when we are cooking our oxtail. Now to season, I have some fresh thyme. I keep wanting to say thyme because that's how my mom says it. Some fresh thyme and some dry thyme. The dry thyme I am going to use, when I get my sauce going, and the fresh thyme I am going to actually put it into the crock pot to get that done. Because I really don't want these little, if I had a food processor, maybe to blend them up a little bit, I would have done so, but I just don't want to see it. All right, so we talked about the thyme, the bay leaf. You are gonna need some garlic. This is garlic paste, and I make my garlic paste fresh. If you're interested in knowing how I do that, drop it in the comments, and we may just have a little garlic paste tutorial. Now, I have some allspice. I have some powdered allspice, molida, and I also have some whole allspice. I am going to season with the powdered allspice, and I'm going to drop the whole allspice into the pressure cooker. I also have some black magic. Black magic is to season. I have some ginger paste. I also have some complete seasoning. Of course, the dynamic duo, onion and garlic powder. I have some Creole seasoning. Now this is up to you. I like the balance of the different seasonings in the Creole seasoning. That is why I use it. I also have some paprika. I know it really doesn't, in my opinion, paprika really doesn't taste anything. It's just a habit. You just gotta use it. All right, I have some crushed red pepper, and I also have some beef bouillon. You can use powder, you can use cube, whatever it is that you want. You just wanna have some of that. Now, these two characters here is for me, as far as this style of oxtail goes, is a main character. Now, your kitchen bouquet or soy sauce, whatever it is that you have, because a lot of these players that I have here have sodium in it. That's why I did not want to use soy sauce, and I am using kitchen bouquet. Kitchen bouquet has 5 milligrams of sodium versus the soy sauce may have a whole lot more. This is going to bring color to my oxtail. This is going to bring the caramelization of that sauce into the oxtail. So that is why I am partnering these two with my seasoning. Now, we also have some adobo. We have some pink Himalayan salt. We have some olive oil. And we have these two players here. Now we have some cooking wine and we have a beer. Now my dad said it's a must, so it's a must. It's going to happen. Now what these two do, it kind of breaks down the fat on the oxtail, as my father told me. If you have not checked out my Cuban style oxtail video, make sure that you do. It will help break down the fat on the oxtails, so that is why I use that. It won't be much. So with that being said, let's get ready to season some oxtail. Now, to our very large bowl. You do not want to crowd up anything while you're seasoning. So I got a pretty large bowl, and we are going to get started. I'm going to get started with some pink Himalayan salt. The cover is on. It's not going on the meat. Like so. And just sprinkle that on there. I am going to go in with some onion powder. You can season quite heavy because we are going into the pressure cooker. Some garlic powder. If you ain't sneezing, it ain't seasoned. Some adobo. And these pieces are quite thick, so you want to make sure that it's seasoned. Some complete seasoning. A little bit of Tony Saturates. Did I say that right? Yeah. Some Black Magic. Ooh. Excuse me. Some paprika. Well, whatever's left in here. Season to your liking. More or less, whatever it is that you choose. Some allspice. And I am just going to put a little bit of this, oh jeez, of this beef bouillon. Just a little bit so that can help the broth out. All right, so we have that there. Let's add our ketchup. I held it up, but I didn't say ketchup. We have some ketchup. This is going to give it a nice caramelization on there. Our kitchen bouquet for color. Now this only takes a little drizzle. A little goes a long way. She said a little, we kept pouring on. And is that it? I believe that is it. Let me get some gloves so that we can start marinating this. Once we have all of our seasonings in, we are going to start to incorporate the seasonings and make sure that everything is coated together. I'm sorry, I'm just pushing this bowl all over the place. Okay. Make sure there's nicely even coated on each one of your pieces. As you can see, there's a lot of dry season or seasoning left behind in the bowl. Just rub that around and get that. All right. I hope it's still in frame. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so as you can see, they're nicely coated and season all of my pieces. As you can, I should have held them up earlier to show you how much of that fat has been cut off. And the smallest piece to the tail that I have is this one. And as you can see, it took a lot for me to get that membrane and that fat off. So this is probably as low as you want to go on that tail because you're going to have a hard time. Okay, and we have this seasoned, and you can meet me at the stove. Now to a pot, frying pan, whatever it is, you want to turn that to medium-high heat and add some olive oil because we are going to brown this oxtail before we put it into the pressure cooker. Now, that was quite simple, yes. But the most important part of all of this is not crowding your pot. If you crowd your pot, it's going to cause the meat to render liquid. We want to keep the oil as oily as possible once we start browning our meat. So you're going to add your pieces. Now I'm going to brown them on all sides. So you're just going to stand them up in there until the sides are brown. And don't fall. Well, that one's just going to have to stand up later. Like so. So we're going to give them a couple minutes on each side as we get the nice browning on them. So I'm going to look at, see how that looks nice and brown? I'm going to turn it on the side. This one we can probably stand up. They would stand up. Let me just turn it on the other side. And flip this one over. And you are just going to go on all, so that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 sides. You're going to brown all 6 sides, and you're going to repeat this process until you're all done. This is how you should be looking. We are not cooking this meat. We are only browning the oxtail so that we can have that nice color before we put it into our crock pot. Just wanted to give you that visual. That, so as you can see, I'm just turning them over. You can have some nice color on it. I think I'm not going to be able to stand up, but I'm going to do my best to do so. You got to hold it on the side. Just hold it on the side for a moment. And you just continue that until we're done. Now, as you can see, they looked like they're cooked, but they're not. They're just browned, and that is what we were going for. Now, remember we were talking about the odds and ends, or the end pieces of the peppers and onions. I don't know, I just can't cut these right. So I just cut them up, put them aside in the freezer or whatever, and whenever I need them, when I'm making stews or anything like that, that's when I'll pull these out. So I have those end pieces of the red pepper, yellow pepper, green pepper, a few pieces of onion, and we have the 2 scallions. They are whole because we are gonna throw them in whole and take them out whole. We're not gonna use them other than that. Okay, now to your crock pot, let me just put this here. You're going to add your oxtail. I don't know if you can see that. We still have our seasonings because we have to season our broth that we are going to create with our oxtail. Kind of heavy. Okay, so at this point you can put as many in there as you can. If you're I don't know why I keep calling this a crock pot. My pressure cooker, it can work as a crock pot, it's an all-in-one. My pressure cooker is really not that big, but I am going to fit in here as much as I can, and I'm going to make these fit like that. All right. Now you see all of this in here? You want to collect that and go ahead and drop that in there too. Let me just grab this spatula really quick. And I am going to add this right into my pressure cooker. That's just the olive oil and the rest of that seasoning that kind of fell off. This is all of your flavors, so please do not leave that behind. The olive oil that we we didn't cook it, that we browned our oxtail in, also do not get rid of that. That is what you're gonna cook your vegetables in to start your Alfredo sauce, okay? All right, so here, let's make some room. Let's push this over like that so that I can bring this into frame so that you can see. We have our oxtail in our pressure cooker pot. I am going to throw in, my scallions have been washed. I'm just gonna break off the roots of that and throw that in just like that. I am going to get my onion, red pepper, yellow pepper, and green pepper and just throw that in like so. I am going to get a little bit more of that complete seasoning and add just a little bit. Remember, these are thick. Oxtail is not an easy meat to really draw in that flavor. So I'm just going to re-add everything except the ketchup and the kitchen bouquet. So that smells like garlic powder, some onion powder, a little bit of that beef bouillon. Yes, I did wash my lid. Just a hint or a hit of that Tony Saturate. Again, if you don't want to redo this process, it's up to you. You don't have to. We're going to hit it with some of that black magic. Just that much adobo. Ooh. Excuse me. She is seasoned. At this point, you're gonna add your crushed red pepper, as much or as little as you'd like, depending on the spice that you were looking for. We don't have any more paprika, so we're gonna skip that. We're gonna go, no. Remember we talked about the grounded allspice and the allspice whole, the whole allspice. So I'm gonna add whole allspice. Maybe about that much. Oh. About much. Bay leaf, 1 or 2, depending on the size. And these are all mashed up. Let me find some better ones. No, they're not good. So they're small, so I'm gonna put 3 bay leaves. I am going to add my fresh organic thyme. Maybe just a couple sprigs of this. Now I have washed this and I just put it back in for keeping. Thyme, some ginger paste. I didn't put the ginger paste nor the garlic on the meat while I was seasoning it because I did not want it to burn. So that is why I did not do that. Our fresh garlic. Maybe a whole, that's about a half a teaspoon of garlic. And a splash of our cooking wine. That much, it's not gonna get drunk. And a splash of our Budweiser. Hopefully I can open this. Yes, I can. Twist top. Just clean that off just in case. And we are going to put about that much Budweiser. And we are going to top it off with water. I am going to set this for 1 hour and we will be back. We are 30 minutes in. I want to try to give it at least an hour, but I want to feel it out and see how they feel at this point. Looks good. Smells really, really good. And this is what we are working with in this crock pot. As you can see, the meat is loosening up off of the bone. You see that? How it's not so tight on the bone anymore? That is what you want to look for. We are going to render some of this grease off too. I'm not going to take all this oil. That's a lot of oil. So I am going to let this go for about another 30 minutes. And then we will come back to it, and then we will start our picking process, boiling our noodles, and I'm gonna show you how to make that bussin' Alfredo sauce. 1 hour later, let's see what we are working with, and it looks, ouch, good. It is hot, very hot. Okay, our oxtail looks like it's nice and tender. Falling off the bone is what we want. So what you are going to do at this point, by choice, is you are going to pick the meat off of that bone. I don't need all that extra juice that's coming off. All right, so remember those veggie pieces? You don't need that either. Now, what I can say is this stock off of these oxtails, do not throw it away. You want to make rice, you want to make a base of some sort, you can use this and it will be very, very good. We did get a lot of oil, so you might want to throw off some of that oil, but as far as the stock, definitely keep that. All right, so you're just going to take them out and pretty much pull as much of that meat off as possible. I am going to just work with a few pieces at a time. With 2 forks, depending on if you let it cool or not, you can just pretty much pull that meat straight off of the bone like so. And just do as much or as little as you please. And you're going to continue to do this until you get your desired amount of oxtails. Noticing that with the tongs, it's much easier than with the fork. So you just pinch the meat off like so until you get your desired amount off. You can always go back and finish them off. Don't throw none of that meat away. Okay, so like so. So you have the idea of exactly what it is that I did and what it is that I'm doing. Okay. Now, to our pasta water, I am going to add some beef bouillon to salt that up. Well, to give it some flavor. Because don't nobody want to eat no bland noodles. And I'm using linguine instead of fettuccine noodles because the fettuccine noodles are too thick for me. I like these thinner ones best. And y'all don't come for me for what I'm about to do, but I can't do it. So, oh, that one fell. Well, I guess we'll drop those in. Yes, she just split it in half. And you are going to boil your noodles for exactly the amount of time that your box says. 12 minutes is your max. So we're gonna let that boil and let's get started on this simple Alfredo sauce. Now, to the same oil that we browned our oxtail, we are going to cook down our vegetables. So we have onion, green pepper, yellow pepper, and red pepper. Hopefully this is hot. Let's see. Yes. We are going to cook this down to just about nothing. So we're just going to keep stirring it until everything is nice and translucent. The flavors from the oxtail is in that oil. So that's the beginning of your flavor building process. So we are building flavors now. Now, depending on how dry this gets, I might just get some of the oil out of that pressure cooker and get this going. Okay, so we're going to cook this down until the vegetables are translucent. We are then going to add in our heavy whipping cream, maybe a quarter of the Philadelphia cream cheese. I am going to add in some fresh garlic, some onion and garlic powder, a little hit of Tony's Creole Saturates, and some thyme. So once we get that portion of it done, we should be working with our noodles, and then we will add in our oxtail meat to that Alfredo sauce. Just keep stirring it up until everything, well, that onion for sure begins to get translucent, and you can start smelling the aromatics of your vegetables. Now, I have not put my garlic in yet because I don't want my garlic to burn. I'm going to put that in towards the end of it, but yet still cook it down with the vegetables. Once we do that, I am going to get just a drizzle of the broth from the oxtail, and then, like I said, can make those layers of flavor. All right, come take a look at these vegetables. As you can see, they are pretty much almost turning into a paste. I did take just a little bit of oil or fat that was rendered from the oxtail, and I did throw that in here. I only have a little bit of garlic left, so I'm just going to use this spatula. Let me turn this fire down just a little bit. Add that garlic. Give it a nice little spin. Let that cook down for 1 or 2 minutes. And then we are going to add just a little bit of that stock from the oxtail so that we can start making our Alfredo sauce. To our vegetables, a little bit of that stock from the oxtail I'm just going to throw into that and just let that finish cooking down. And oh, let's get this out here. This is one of those allspice. Let this cook down and I guess cook some of the liquid out, and then we will go ahead and add in our heavy cream. Here's another one. Take these out because if you bite this, you're going to be upset. Alright, so at this point you can just go ahead and add in your heavy cream. We have 2 pints of Land O'Lakes heavy cream. Number 1. And number 2. Just open it like a carton because that hurt. And number 2. Now we are going to let this cook down and thicken up. Once it starts to thicken up, I am going to add in my Parmesan cheese. Simmer, because we do not need anything to burn. I am going to go in with a 1/4 block of cream cheese. And I am going to slowly add in my grated Romano cheese. That in slowly. Make sure we break down our cream cheese. As much or as little as you would like. And you would just continue to gradually add in your cheese, break down your cream cheese. And once you have all of that incorporated, before you add your oxtail, you want to taste it to make sure that you do not need to make any adjustments. If you don't, perfect. If you do, make your adjustments, a little bit of salt, pepper, whatever it is that you need, and then we'll get to that step. At this point, you should have made whatever adjustments it is that you needed to make. You're going to keep whisking it, keep whisking it. Now, as it gets cooler, it's going to thicken up. Right now, it's still very hot, so it's going to obviously be quite runny. Now, your oxtail. You can either choose to add it after, or you can add it now. So you are going to take your shredded oxtail meat and you are going to add it to your Alfredo sauce. Keep just a little bit to top it with. Okay. And you are just going to kind of fold that in. This whisker's not working, so I am going to use the spatula and just fold that in. How yummy does that look? And that's pretty much it. So now we are going to plate, add this to our noodles, and we are going to get ready to taste. Our noodles are done. I am going to plate me a nice, healthy portion. This is going to be good. Of noodles. I don't have a spoon. I need to get a spoon. Sorry. All right, I'm ready now. Get our spoon so that we can ladle this beautiful sauce on our noodles. Let's get a little bit of this oxtail and put that right on top. Like so. I mean, it's not even necessary. No, it's not. Just so you can see it. Almost looks like it needs something green. Let's have the taste. I am overly excited about this because I already know. Ladies and gentlemen, creamy oxtail Alfredo. Look at that bite. She's screaming hot. So yeah, y'all already know. Let me take a nice blow. This is good. I didn't expect anything else. Ladies and gentlemen, this is definitely a must try. Yeah, I don't have all that fancy parsley and all that good stuff, but guess what? This is on point. So with that being said, I know I'm hungry. I know y'all hungry. What did y'all think? Let me know. Drop it in the comments. Have you ever had it? Let me know if you've had it anything different. Let me know. But this is awesome. And also, let me know if you try it. Y'all already know I love y'all for life.